So, man, I've heard a lot of people talking about what ancient America was and whether ancient America was a holy land or sacred land or an ancient land for that matter. And I believe 100% that it is. I've always thought that. Obviously, America is my home, right? This is my homeland. This is where I grew up. And
I don't think you even knew existed. It goes against everything Manifest Destiny teaches about Native Americans. And I want you to know this part of our history because...
Okay, so I just wanted to kind of get everything set up here, because there's a lot of different viewpoints about what ancient America was. So I'm going to go through a few of them here. Hope you guys join me to this. Ancient America.
We'll erase it, and we'll get to that later on in the program. Erased it intentionally.
Let me block this part up here. All right? I gotta get the TikTok part going, guys. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So now that I got TikTok as a part of this, doing my YouTube and my TikTok, I'm simulcast, as it were. And it's super hot out here. I'm in the South. I don't know where you guys are, obviously, but man, it is hot in the South, man. There's a heat warning in effect out here. That's how hot it is. Heat warning out here, man. And it is 3 o'clock. It's not even the hottest part of the day yet. But we're in potentially the sacred land. A sacred land be hot sometimes, right? And the conversation about said sacred land is also hot. So I got a list of videos I want to go through here.
North America.
So let's talk about a couple.
The flowers.
It's not.
I just came across a video.
Okay. These are just a video of just different what Aboriginal Americans look like. And I ain't gonna lie, when we look at these images and you look at some of the hair, these are Aboriginals, Aztec, Mexico, and look at like what we see in this is modern day Louisiana. This is just down the street from me. This is where I am. This guy probably lives around the corner from me. So this is a video that showed a map of America, like what ancient Mexico looked like, at least the Aztec, right? And just a whole, man, these images are going by so fast. Again, just images of what ancient Americans look like. And there's a lot of comments, man. This video looks like it's done pretty well. How many views this thing's got? 2,100 views, just like over 2,100 views, right? And you can see a lot of people are down with this. Like, keep this going. Yes, love to see it. Thank you for your service. I'm black and I am beautiful, and I'm sure you are. I say sovereignty, awaken within. So this is just kind of looking at what artwork, like these are the things that always got me. I'm not gonna lie, man. These Olmec heads here, like I know a lot of people like try to, oh, these are what these people look like. Yeah, but come on, man. Look at that big ass nose right there, man. I'm not lying, man. I am not lying. When you heard, I'm sure some of you guys are probably Chappelle fans. He's a hilarious guy, right? And he always said breathing all the white man's air was something that they were worried about, right? Because look at these big old nose, man. Look at these big, man. You could take in a lot of now, man. I'm telling you, my grandpa's nose, man, was like, what? My grandpa, it wasn't no joke about his nose, man. My grandpa was from Oklahoma, and it wasn't no joke about the size of that nose, man. So I'm just letting you guys know, like, conversationally, man, it really, really seems more and more like some of this stuff is true. Like, the fact that we live in America and we don't know anything about ancient structures in America, right? There was actually ancient monoliths built here in this country, and we know it goes way back. Join me. It goes way back, right? So I'm just gonna kind of let some of these play, and we're gonna talk about them a little bit. You guys feel free to chime in, but let's have a conversation about ancient America, right? So again, I was looking at these Aboriginal history. Look at these videos, right? I mean, like, you can't see these big giant noses, man. Where do you think these big, man? I mean, come on, man. I mean, as many times as, we've heard people get laughed at for having big lips and all that stuff. Like, come on, let's be honest here, man. I saw these Aboriginals, man. This looks like my uncle right here, man. I'm not just, look, we can talk about it and kind of make some sense out of what we see. So this is just Aboriginal American history. And again, this is coming from a perspective of a person. I love my country. I am an American. I don't run from that in any way. I understand the history of what my country has done. I understand the history of this country, right? And I'm trying to go further back to the history of this land. So understand the history of this country and understanding the history of this land are not necessarily the same things, right? So let's look at this, man. This is Queen Calafia, right? To which they say California is named, right? And again, I'm a California native right now living in the South, but this was the original seal of California. Kind of fits the model what a lot of people have been saying about our origins here, right? So let's kind of keep going here. I don't know what this is, but yeah, some of the now there's a lot of monumental structures in the Americas. We're rarely taught this. Obviously South America, but there's lots of monumental structures here in America. It's not just in Kemet. Like, how is it that I would learn more about Saqqara? I would learn more about, temple mounds 15,000 miles, 18,000 miles away from here, while we don't learn much about the monumental structures here in the Americas, right? Why wouldn't we learn about the monumental structures here in America? Because we don't, right? Like that, if it's not a secret, man, you guys are really just overlooking some stuff that we would talk about ancient cultures and never talk about the ancient people here, right? Again, these step columns, now the ancient pyramids obviously are very similar, and there's debate about, timelines, who built who, but these structures were here. These structures are here. There is a mound facility that's, just 3 hours away from where I live now. So I'm just kind of taking a look at all this stuff. Man, this is a gorgeous one right here, and let's go to the next one here. There's a nice list of people talking about this. I like this woman here.
A video that showed a map of America before colonization, and I found it so funny that some of the most sacred lands that we know, such as Jerusalem, Morocco, Egypt, all originated here.
I mean, it's weird because you see names like literally Memphis and Memphis. Memphis is the ancient Kemetic city, but there is Memphis here in Tennessee, also along the Mississippi River. So a lot of people, and I'll probably watch a couple of videos here where people talk about this being the Nile, or the Mississippi itself being equivalent to the Nile and preceding the Nile, and it moves more water in the Mississippi than you do. And you see this guy's here. This guy's comment right here. The Mississippi River is the Nile. A lot of heat on that one. Right? The Nile River is Egypt. It's bigger. Nile is a generic term. It simply means river. And what we mean, the real Nile it's longer, but Mississippi moves more water, man. A lot more water. The Mississippi actually has a much greater, so the length of it doesn't matter. They're like, oh, it's 2 times bigger. It's not 2 times bigger. It's 2 times longer in length, right? And that's not how we would judge a river. You would also judge a river system by the entire system. In Kemet, they would talk about the nomes. Here, we would talk about all the river systems, right? The Mississippi goes from the tip of North America all the way through where I live in Shreveport right now. Keep on going down to further into Louisiana, Baton Rouge, all the way down to New Orleans, into the ocean, right? Into the Mexican, the Gulf of Mexico, right? So this is where the river system comes from, right? And it's highly top. Some people think it's lies, but it's less working. The same river stopped. It's not, right? So whatever they say, when we say that it's the same, that this is the Nile, we're talking about the impact of it. They did the same things: culture, trade, music. How do you think we got blues all the way through the Mississippi Delta? That's where it all comes from, all the way down here to then when you get around Shreveport, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, we start getting all the jazz. Like, that's the mix of it, right? So it passed on through. So let's let the sister keep talking.
They all exist on maps pre-colonization. After colonization, these areas' names were changed. What's crazy is, even in Jerusalem, it was not initially called Jerusalem. It was called Jerusalem. It was called Jerusalem. It was called everything but Jerusalem. The Greeks came in and changed the name.
Now, we do know that the Greeks did come through and change names. That's not in doubt. It was never called Egypt. That was their interpretation of it. It was Egypt, right? It was Kemet. They changed the names and stuff, and people conquer, someone buys a hotel. This is what it is. And this lady's comment, would Egypt be Memphis, Tennessee? We're sitting right in the Mississippi River or the Nile. So Memphis wasn't the name that they called that land, but she's directly on point. The land here was not called Memphis. But if we look at where Memphis is now and we look at the land, it was a river civilization, right? They built monumental structures. They centered worship, trade, culture around. And when I say a monumental structure, I mean monumental. This was not a small structure. This is not buried in the ground. These were monumental, complex structures that showed both engineering ability, but also cooperative efforts in terms of how we got the land all together, how you built the structures. And it was multi-generational. It was multi-civilization. Now, I want to say different civilization or culture, but it was like tribes, right? The various, multiple tribes. A lot of these people, some were agricultural, some were still nomadic and moving throughout the land.
The Europeans. Morocco was founded in 1956. In Egypt in Africa was not initially called Egypt. It was Kemet. After it was Kemet, they changed the name to Aegyptus. After the Greeks came in and they started switching shit around, they switched the name from Aegyptus to Egypt. Mm-hmm. And what I find even more mind-boggling about this is Egypt is a couple of cities in America to this day. And not only that, there's a special city called Little Egypt. And the reason why it's called Little Egypt
and we have Egyptian mounds all over the place. Like, we give up so much love to Egypt. And it's crazy. You got Luxor, go to Vegas, which is interesting because in that area, Arizona, is where a lot of people say there were a lot of mummies and ancient tombs that were found not only in Arizona, but also in going into Vegas and Nevada area. So there's a lot of that.
Because of its relation to the story of the land of Goshen in the Bible and how all the people from the north moved toward the south when there was.
She kind of breaks it down, man. She gets into it. There's a Sphinx in the Grand Canyon. I've seen pictures of it. I think we're going to see one of those images here. So there is, right? And how the names were changed. It's interesting that we talk about this. It's interesting that we don't talk, like, why do we talk about the Nile River with such regard, but we don't talk about the Mississippi in the same light, right? You can't tell me that, right? It doesn't make sense that we here in Americas are worshiping someone else's sacred land. Not that there's anything wrong with their sacred land, but we have sacred land here that we kind of don't pay much attention to, right? So this is kind of where she's getting into it. All right, I want to shut the sound off because I don't want to get the copyright strike on this, right? But let's look at these images, right? These are some good images here, right? Look at this. Art imitating life, right? Let's look at this image here. Clearly, you see how they were depicted, right? With the skin color and all. I know you guys want to talk about skin color all the time. And this is what they would have looked like in real life. These are dark skin or copper colored people, right? That's the same color as my skin right there, right? Look at these people right here. Look at this. And then look at that, right? These are all copper colored, darker people as well. So all this stuff looks like copper colored people. If you talked about the land of copper colored people, man, I can't see how you look at anything else. So if we were to take this artwork, these depictions, right? Look at these depictions. What does that actually look like, man? What does that actually look like? And they're not joking there, right? They're not joking. Man, some interesting stuff there. And some more images, like the same type of things. Look at these images of ancient America. Who do these people look like? These were the depictions. This is the artwork that was there. Okay? I'll leave that up for you guys to decide. Jump in, let me know what you think about it. Oh, this lady here, yeah.
Egypt in modern times, named by the Greek. Why Arizona? Because this is where all of the crypts and artifacts.
Okay, now listen what she's saying. In Arizona, this is where all the crypts were. This is where they're pointing to finding evidence of ancient civilizations way before colonization ever got here, right? So let's let her rip.
were found that belonged to the people that they call the Egyptians. There were rows upon rows of tombs.
This is inside the Grand Canyon, right? This is inside the Grand Canyon.
A large portion of those mummies that were found in the Grand Canyon are actually displayed at the Cairo Museum in modern-day Egypt. There's evidence that the people of ancient Kemet actually lived there in the Grand Canyon, with proof of their burial, which were the tombs that were found there. Every type.
Now, that's a lot. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's forcing me to do more researching about it. But yeah, let's take a look at it.
Type of supply people would need in order to sustain life were found there in the Grand Canyon.
This is interesting
I don't
here.
think you even knew existed. It goes against everything Manifest Destiny teaches about Native Americans.
Now, this is Glenn Beck here, right? Glenn Beck ain't exactly on my side on many issues, but let's listen to what Glenn Beck has to say about this, right? The hidden truth about America, okay? The hidden truth. Again, 300 BCE, 400 AD, right? All these centuries of advanced civilization right here on this land, right here on the land that we're walking on right now. I notice they got Farrakhan. I'll be very pleased with that, but let's see here.
And I want you to know this part of our history because people erased it. And we'll get to that later on in the program. Erased it intentionally. Erased it intentionally.
Again, you know, it's always been curious to me that these ancient structures are here in the Americas, in this land, and we don't know anything about it. Like I got into it, I didn't get to it with my mother, but we were talking about it. I'm like, what are you talking about? Let's go visit Africa, right? Not any disrespect to Africa, but damn, our ancestry's right here, man. Like we know how long our people been here, my family. So why wouldn't we want to learn about these sacred mounds that are right here? The people in Egypt, Kemet, that's not my people, you know, anyway. So why would I spend all that to, if I'm going to study some people, why wouldn't I look at the people right here?
That's an important part of it. America's history didn't begin with Christopher Columbus came over. There were ancient cities with advanced architectures all across North America. Did you know that? All
across North America. This is what I was saying. I did a couple of videos talking about one of the most recent structures, or one of the most recent structures, but the structures in this area. I talked about Poverty Point, which I'm planning to visit here shortly. And I got to do it. I got to go see Poverty Point. And man, go down into I was also in New Orleans earlier this year. And I'm like, I went down there. I was in whatever the district is, right? And I went and saw the museums, like the museum with all the voodoo, all that stuff. I seen it, man. Like I said, I seen it with my own eyes and I felt it. And I was like, wait a minute. And here, man, I live, there's all this bodies of water. Where I am right now, there's all these bodies of water. Thank you so much for that contribution. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. When I went down there and I started looking at all like the understanding of how the systems work, like seeing it right here on this land, like, man, this is it right here. I will never look, there's lots of beautiful places in the world. I hope to see more of them, but man, I got to respect this land right here. This is the land that I come from. This is where my ancestors died and bled. So let's learn more about this land here.
Hundreds of years before Columbus came.
Hundreds of years before
Indians didn't
Columbus.
scar the land.
I mean, we just, the structures are here for us to see them. They're not gone.
No, not true. These were cities as large as any in the world at the time. London or Rome, they were metropolises.
Yes.
Archaeologists say they have found evidence of 200,000 actual cities of mound-like structures all across North America.
Wait, what did he say there? Wait a minute, what was that number there? Come on, I gotta rewind because I think I missed that number there, guys. What was that number?
Of mound-like structures all across North America.
Okay.
They were Rome. They were metropolises.
Yes.
Archaeologists say they have found evidence of 200,000 actual
200,000 actual structures like this found throughout North America. Not 200, not 2,000, 200,000 structures like this here in the Americas. Right? This is all through archaeology. We don't learn none of this in school. Nothing of this. They don't speak about this. Why is that? Why is it we would talk about the history of America and I wouldn't know this until today o'clock? Right? I wouldn't know this until today o'clock. Like I knew there were temple structures. And even when I spent, more time kind of looking at Kemet, just trying to understand that culture, I was always aware that there were structures here. And I took that as a link. I thought that knowledge would have jumped from there to here, or however it was spread. Now, per the way the myth, in Kemetic beliefs, It was Asar who was the one who was spreading this knowledge all around, right? Not that the humans built this stuff, but this is a metaphor for passing knowledge, right? They're always saying that the knowledge came from a divine source, but the humans executed that. Like they brought them geometry, they brought them mathematics, they brought all this stuff together, right? And allowed them to build structures like this. So 200,000 monument structures throughout North America. Okay, I know in South America, there's a lot in South America too, right? Let's talk about North America a little bit more.
Of mound-like structures all across North America that were here long before Columbus. But we don't know anything about them.
We don't know anything about them. Exactly. Why? Glenn Beck and me are asking. You know how damaging it is to my psyche for me and Glenn Beck to be agreeing on any damn thing? So I got to take it, right? But let's continue looking at this, right?
No idea that ancient cities with advanced architectures once dotted the ancient North American landscape.
Yes. Where are we going? Okay, you see where we're highlighting is the South, right? They're highlighting the South, the land I'm walking through right now.
Director
And I'm telling
Kennedy
you, as
has
I'm
since
here,
coined a name for such places.
it's sacred.
What I call hidden cities. I use the term because these were very big places. There were more people, we now know, in Cahokia, across from St. Louis, than there were in London or Rome.
For more
Huge
than 50
populations
years.
of people lived here. Huge populations. They were overcome, let's remember, by disease. Not necessarily war, and weaponry, but disease, right? So these are the old pyramids here.
Evidence of humans in America much older than 13,400 years ago was simply dismissed, and anybody who attempted to go that way would not get research funding and would be ostracized by their colleagues. And
yeah, there was a movement. You don't really get to talk about this stuff. Ask people, like we never hear about. How would we not know? Living in America and being educated in this country, how would we not know about all these mound structures built here? Now, let's see. Mounds and pyramids in North Carolina are the top of them, not the bottom. They were present. They found it. Let's see. We're definitely gonna stop calling ourselves. And I'm not even getting into like, what you call yourself. But I know that the first thing I identify myself as an American, right? Like America obviously had a different name. That wasn't the name. But I'm gonna tie myself to this land. There's so much truth here in this land that, man, I'm almost embarrassed that I didn't know this stuff. But I am pleased that people are starting to talk about this more, and I'm just kind of absorbing this stuff. So guys, for me, a lot of this is a session of me kind of taking all this stuff in. Some of this stuff I'll be able to process. Some of this stuff I'm going to have to work on a little bit more. But let's start getting into like really looking at what this information is saying about where we live, where our people came from, right?
literally have their lives ruined. And this is most unfortunate, and it's not how science should
See what this guy
proceed.
says? For the archaeologists, the people in the scientific community who presented this information, they were ostracized. Their careers were often ruined for presenting the truth. Some of the oldest bones ever are found here. 7,000-year-old Native American burial site found in Florida. The South again, right? Like, I know we talked about Arizona, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the South. A 7,000-year-old Native American burial site. Native Americans. That's 7,000 years ago.
Because we now know that human beings have been in the Americas for tens of thousands of years before 13,400 years ago.
The New World, right? But they tell you it's the New World, right? It's not the ancient world. This was the New World. No, this was the ancient world. We live in the ancient world. We don't know what America's name. We don't know what the people call, because they say that stuff didn't exist. But man, those writings, that information was probably just destroyed, right?
The latest evidence puts them back more than 130,000 years in the Americas. And what that
Humans in California for 130,000 years ago. Humans in America 130,000 years ago. This is the truth about where you live. Okay, we're not talking 4,000 years or two. We're talking 100,000 years of history. There were humans in this land. Now, let's also kind of juxtapose that with the fact that what was the default for most humans? What was when humans came out, whether you think we came out of Africa or whether you think, where the true genesis humans was, we know that, there was a dominant skin type years ago, that we developed all the various shades, right, that come along now through mutation. So 100,000 years ago, there were humans walking this land. this land specifically.
Says to me is, if they were saying before that humans didn't come until 13,400 years ago, and nobody should look, nobody should dig deeper, now we know they were there 130,000 years ago. That's more than 100,000 years of the American story.
Yeah, more than 100,000 years of American history that we don't touch. More than 100,000 years of American history that is untouched by our modern science. We're not even following it, right? We're not even trying to catch on to it, right? We don't nothing to see here, right? You ever hear the cops tell you that? Nothing to see here. Move along. This is essentially what they're saying about
that
your
has
history,
not
right?
been told entirely because of the dogmatism of archaeology. And now reluctantly they're having to accept, all of the institutions are accepting, well, we're sorry, we got it wrong. But
now, because more people are challenging it, you can see like the comments in here, right? All these people are talking about the same thing, like trying to find their true identity, right?
Some who authored the very first publications of the Smithsonian, or the earliest books on North
Now,
American
this is the name. I don't know where this name, like you're seeing this name, Amaruka. This is what people are saying is the actual name for this land. Now I gotta go check this out. Now I gotta go do homework, which I hate doing homework, right? I love doing this, but I don't want to do any homework, but now I have to.
antiquities described and illustrated things that would surprise most of us today.
Some people, such as Caleb Atwater and Squire and Davis, they believe the artifacts that they were finding that were on these mounds and cities and earthen structures, that this was representative of an advanced civilization.
Advanced civilization, advanced structure building, advanced ideologies, advanced philosophies on spirituality and the world. So I started getting into, and I did a couple of videos talking about river worship, right? The idea of river cultures, like what river cultures developed, and this idea that they were very much in tune with obviously the natural world, which reminds me of the Netters. If we go and you talk about ancient Kemet and they talk about the Netters, they had a belief system built on gods, but they explained the belief system in more of a cosmic way. And this is what it was for this culture here, that water was the genesis. And I'm telling you, all around me is nothing but water. Everywhere I go in this dang city, I'm crossing over a river or a lake. I live like 10 minutes away from a lake, literally, right? Like there's a river, like, you know, we're right off the Red River. So commerce was why, the river is why Shreveport was even founded, was because of commerce along the river. So when we talk about the Mississippi River, when we talk about the Nile, the components on which, how they affected the people, you can't ignore exactly what it meant to the people here, right? How they built their cultures. Okay, let's check out this next one, y'all.
America is ancient. America is prehistoric.
America is prehistoric. America is ancient.
Much of the true American history has been erased, hidden, or destroyed. The first dry land to rise up out of the waters was North America, from Nova Scotia to the far west. And this was the beginning of life on Earth.
Now, she's crediting the actual genesis of life to the Americas. That's something I had not heard, right? And this person, Egypt was not in Africa. Ancient Egypt is present in America. This is the culture we're talking about. They changed the maps and the names of the places to cause confusion. Present day Egypt is in America. I don't know, guys. I'm not sure, right? Obviously, there's going to be in this, like, mockery is always the first thing, right? Like, but I'm not sure, right? Let's go ahead and look at it here. Wait, and Egypt is Ohio. Wait a minute. Wait, what the hell does that mean? Facts? Huh. All right. Okay. I'm really willing to go down the rabbit hole with it. The Grand Canyon is where all life started. Let's see. I don't know. Huh. Wow. I mean, per their mythologies, they do say that. Like when I talked about specifically the Caddo tribe, the Caddo region people, and some of them were located up to once they were driven off the land, a lot of them were relocated up to Oklahoma, which is where my grandpa's from. So my grandmother's from here, her mother's from here, her grandmother's from here, Her great-grand. So my grandmother herself can count, 7 generations being right here in Louisiana, right? I was first generation to live in California. My mom was born, my mother was born in California, so I'm second generation. But my grandmother, she goes back, she talked 7 generations back about her people, and everybody was right here. And my grandma, she's so, rest in peace. My grandma's gone, I miss her. Louisiana. I don't even say it right, but this is what she said. Let's listen to this intelligent woman here a little bit more.
All of the world's ancient civilizations were first created in America, ancient America, Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt or Kemet, ancient India, ancient China, the Andean region or Peru, and Mesoamerica. Why would you trust the colonizer with your story?
A damn thing that she really hit on is, why would we trust colonizer cultures with telling our history? They would not give you your actual history because there's no benefit in it to them. These are people who said, I see someone else's land and I'm just going to take it from them, right? I'm willing to kill all the people there so I can take them. So why would you allow these people to teach you about the world? And could you really trust them to teach you about the world? And I say definitively no, right? Let's be honest here.
The colonizer is telling you his story. The Moors are from ancient America. They are the indigenous Americans, the original autochthonous copper tone people.
And that is what we are, copper tone. Like, guys, I just keep this around because, like, copper, right? Like copper, and like, I mean, we ain't joking about that, right? We ain't joking. We're copper colored people. That's 100% what, at least for, my family, we are copper colored people. We have some other colors in the family that we all love too, but we started off all copper colored people.
The Moors existed in all the civilization throughout the Americas. For a very long time, there was only life in the Americas. The Canaanites are from America. The Canaanites are the Phoenicians, and the Phoenicians are the Hebrew Israelites, and the Hebrew Israelites are the ancient Egyptians, all originating in ancient America. The next dry land to rise up out of the waters was Africa.
Okay.
The Moors are those who left ancient America and went to what's now called North Africa and then called the Iberian Peninsula. But it was not called Africa.
That's very true. That is also colonizer's name. Go back to Pushy Push. Pushy Push? Which one was Pushy Push? Is that the one above? Hang on. Where's Pushy Push? Let me get through this and I'll go back on it.
It was called Europa, named after Queen Europa, a Phoenician princess. The original Europeans had a dark skin tone, and they were the Moors. America is ancient. America
is ancient. I mean, obviously with all the mound structures in it, there's a reason we're not being taught this. Let me see. You said look up Pushy. All right, hang on. I'm gonna pop open another window. Let's see. Do what my man suggested here, okay? Typing is not my push. Let's see, pushy. No, they ain't trying to. Okay. All right, my man. I got some right here. Let me see if I can find some YouTube videos of this gentleman here. You know what? I think I'm gonna subscribe here because let's holler at it for a minute, right? Right out the gate. Truth, Adam and Eve, let's talk. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Let me check them out. Genesis, reptilians. Everything leads back to conversations about reptilians for some damn reason. Let's see. Okay. Ancient Egypt built in 1934. Okay, let me get. I haven't found a video anymore. Okay. Oh, what the hell is that thing? Okay, let's check out this video there. Let's see. Let's check out some of his videos here. Huh?
Good vibes, family.
Okay.
Good vibes to you all. Egypt. Could the history be false? I go by the name Pushy Push. Definitely, family. Hit that like button, subscribe, and if you have that hype, I definitely would appreciate it. But let's jump into this one. I know I said something that is pretty provocative. You know, is Egypt a false history? What I want to do with this video is bring to you an argument, because I have a big disagreement about the history that we've been shown with Egypt. So in this video, I want to present that argument to you. Also, the Egyptian creator god Ptah has a big role to play inside of this right here. So I believe.
Now, what I do know about Ptah, right? And I'll tell you this, what I know about Ptah is that he is credited in some myths with creation of the universe. And it was through a process, I believe, that is manifestation, meaning that he had the idea of creation was in his heart, right? I think at that time they associated intelligence with your heart, or the brain was in your heart, something of that scenario there, right? And that he then spoke it into existence. So this is, for me, the first time I heard a mythological story where they talked about what I would interpret as manifestation. So I've talked about Ptah a lot. He's a deity central to the creation myth, or at least one version of the creation myth. And he created the world. And it says, by thought and word, unlike other gods, Ptah did not create the world physically. He thought it into creation with his heart and spoke it into creation with his tongue. So he is called the master builder. He's the architect of the literal universe, of structure, metal workings, carbon, everything that was geared with the skill, those type of skills, prayed to him for creation abilities, right? So let's go a little further. Thank you for turning me on to this pushy push here.
What I'm about to show will probably be the first time that it's been seen, even though it's known. So what I'm going to show is not new to someone who is deep into this study, but it's new to someone who have no choice but to accept the basic script that we have been given. So to get into this, we'll start off with Ptah. So he is a Egyptian creator god and patron deity of craftsmen, architect, and building. It says worship.
And I'm pretty sure, he was part of the Memphite triad, which is, it is Ptah, I believe it's Sekhmet, and I think it's a lunar god. I want to say Khonsu. Let's see who he's got. And their son, Nefertum. Okay, Nefertum. Okay. But we know Sekhmet, and I've always seen Sekhmet as a version of Hathor. I'm not sure if this mythology kind of says the same thing. But again, the important thing with these triads, right, very different from some other belief systems, is that they were always the father, the mother, and the son, or the father, the mother, and the daughter, was how they saw triads, right? So I'm going to dig into Pushy Puss a little bit. It's a long video, and I'm not familiar with the info. I'm going to go back. We're going to check out a couple of more of these videos I picked out on TikTok. But I tell you what, bro, I am going to come back. Yeah. Moon Knight. Yeah, Moon Knight teacher. Yeah, you're right. I watched that series begrudgingly, but I will talk more about this. Yeah, that's actually a good one here. You make some good points here.
Let's look at the erased history of America. From the Revolutionary War to World War I, pretty much all of American cities were destroyed by dynamite and gunpowder. They claim these were fires, but you can see the electric poles are still standing and they are not burnt black. In many instances, you can see the trees are still intact. They really call this devastation a result of a fire. It looks no different than Civil War photos where cities are deliberately destroyed.
Yeah, you're right. Norse families, man, you're on point. Norse families are always about family unity. Like if you look at the Norse myths, they tell you who fathered who and who, that they get very, very specific about their lineage. And those people, the descendants of the people who wrote that, stay very much tied to keeping that family bond as well.
Supposedly a photo from a fire, and this is a Civil War photo. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Greco-Roman architecture, supposedly a burned city. And it's funny, these cannonballs would not even fit in these cannons. This is the Chicago fire. This is Richmond after the Civil War. These were massive citywide fires and very few people died. And we got people taking these photos after the fires like they're proud of it. And there are multiple cities across multiple states that all burned at the same time even. They claim this is over the course of about 130 years or so, but what if the timeline is much tighter than that? These wars brought about deliberate fires that destroyed many cities. The transition...
Now, I've heard that from other people that the Civil War, part of it was them destroying as much culture as they could. I've heard that plenty of times.
Of power from the Revolutionary War to the Civil War was a massive erasure of history, and the Gilded Age of the late 1800s was an acceleration of that erasure. History, immigration records, and...
Now let's look at what he's kind of pointing out here. In 1814, British burn the Library of Congress. 1833, Treasury Department fire. 1836, first U.S. Patent Office is burned, right? So lost tens of thousands of patent files, models destroyed. Who was making those models, by the way? 1865, Richmond evacuation fire. Portions of the Confederate government records were lost. And we know about destroying information, like burning books, just like they did apparently in Alexandria, right?
Or inventions were all lost. And at the same time, we have scumbags like Carnegie consolidating the flow of knowledge with the library programs.
Okay, now this is where we kind of get into a lot of it, like the robber barons, right? Remember that day and age? It was a few people who had a concentrated amount of wealth, so they were able to establish schools, one, to teach the messages that they wanted put out there. And it was a lot of it's propaganda. Like a lot of the stuff that we're hearing about, we're starting to dissect, knowing these things aren't true because people are challenging. We're very inquisitive as people, and so they're going back and challenging a lot of the stuff.
This is complete domination of the historical narrative.
Yeah.
Libraries around the world. Carnegie was placed into power through an insider trading scheme. The Carnegie Endowment...
book burning is happening right now. Don't think that it's not. Don't think that they're not trying to... And with if you add all this type of destruction, right, and then what they call the paper genocide... This ties into the paper genocide exists for a reason. And that reason was to disconnect the people from the land. Just like you burn all the records, you burn all the history, and then you say these people had no culture. They didn't exist in this area, right? Despite what they say about their history, they only have oral tradition. Because you burned you're telling people who had complex structures didn't write anything down. You have complex structures. This is where the stories start to break apart. How would you have complex structures, but you never wrote any of the instructions down? You never passed anything on because you just said everything with words. And Carnegie Mellon is a big part of it. He has a major endowment. They did a lot of money shuffling around. And then, now you started some stuff, man. The whole came from Africa. You're right. Here's what I would say, right? Here's what I would say, because it's tough to get through all this information because they throw so much lies at you. But I do know that we were here. I know that even when you talk about the Americas and we talk about what they would say is the transatlantic slave trade, there were not millions of Africans who arrived in this land. There were hundreds of thousands who were just kind of integrated in with the native people who looked, at least in melanin tones, were similar people, right? And that's why we say we do embrace that African part, because Africans did arrive in this land, but ultimately where we came from was not there.
was and is the foundation for the CIA and other intelligence communities. And of course, hundreds of libraries burned down, and what survived was transferred to Carnegie libraries, similar to the burning of the Library of Alexandria. Oh wait, this is Alexandria, Louisiana.
Right? And it's funny, you see all the names, Alexandria, Louisiana, right? Memphis, Tennessee, all along our version or our Nile. Africans came from Asia, right? TikTok, no one's really African. I mean, we're outside of North Africa. I mean, I know there's some temple constructions there, but I honestly believe that as far as the people that were from this land, right? No disrespect to Africa. I still love how Ghanaian women look, but I do believe that my culture was here.
Remember, they didn't destroy the materials, they destroyed the buildings. Shortly after the Civil War, the country was broken in a depression, yet somehow managed opulent World's Fairs like the one in New Orleans. You can see these buildings in the foreground are temporary and made by the colonists. But the expensive Moorish architecture, which was already there, had to be attributed to Mexico, because this makes...
Moorish architecture. I had not seen Moorish architecture, had it described as Moorish architecture before right now.
No sense. And the country's doing even worse by 1893, but still having decadent World's Fairs. And this is when these people publicly took over the banking system.
The Rothschilds. A name that will live in infamy, the Rothschilds.
But the country had the money to make an event like this. This is a human zoo at the Chicago World's Fair. You can see the...
How do people have a human zoo and call themselves civilized? How do you have a zoo full of humans? It's probably one of the few kingdoms we still have. Yes, very much. But how do you have a human zoo and call yourself a civilization? Right? It's interesting, man. I was listening to Cat Williams, who I just kind of listen to him every now and then. He's not my favorite comedian, but he was talking about the perception of black people in this land and all this idea that some people put out about, violence and wanting revenge and all this. And he simply said, we're better people than that, right? We are better people than that. We are better people than people who put humans in zoos. I don't even think that takes a lot. If I look at your history and your history included human zoos, I do devalue what your culture did. I do devalue who you are because of that. We are better people than that.
This building is drawn in. You can see this kid is photoshopped in. Look, Photoshop is old. And there was a Mayan temple at the Chicago World's Fair. The Miami people are part of the Maya. You can see these are permanent structures and there's some meltology at the bottom. Look at the rubble. Look, the Louisville World's Fair.
Holy smokes, look at that. Okay, guys.
It also had a Mayan temple. That's what the mound system is. The different architecture is from different resets and different regimes of power. Similar to the Hopi 5 age or 5 reset theory. Much of the West is...
I have heard, I'm kind of experienced with the Hopi 5. There are 5 different worlds, I guess you would say, or versions of the world, each kind of built. We are the 5th, as per their mythology, we are the 5th. I got some mythology on the channel about that as well, if you guys want to check that out.
Destroyed from cataclysms. This is a remnant. Look, melted buildings.
Oh yeah. See, all right, okay. What? You know what, dude? Like, what are you doing to me right now, man? Because now we gotta talk about giants, right? And giants is something I've backed off of. But the stories of giants, that giants were real here. And in fact, lots of mythologies about giants exist all over the world. Most mythologies, I can tell you that the biblical account, obviously they're talking about giants. The entire Norse structure, everybody's a freaking giant, right? Odin himself descends from giants. They were all talking about giants. When David and Goliath, bam, giants. If you talk about the Native Americans here, they have extensive. I lived in New Mexico, right? Obviously, that's a hub of that culture there, and they talk endlessly stories about giants and going back and forth at wars with giants. Makes me think of like what's that movie? Not Remember the Titans, but Titan AE. What's that flick, man, where they're fighting against giants? But that's been our oldest battle. But look at all these very similar structures here. US, Peru, all these structures here. And these were the first people. Who were the first people on the planet?
World's Fairs established societal rules, reinforcing inverted color status. Then the world wars eliminate whatever history is left. The world wars were organic drone warfare. This looks no different than the deliberate destruction of America.
Wow.
America is the real old world.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I am going to look up that book. My man's dropping some knowledge. If you're in the YouTube chat, check him out. He's dropping some good foundational information for us.
Let's look at the erased history of America.
All right, let's see what else we got.
Pay very close attention to this newspaper clip.
Oh, this one's even going to play from here. Let's see. I'm not going to watch that. Okay. So-called America. It's not big enough for me to read.
Was original places and place names of places over here, and was at a later date transferred overseas to confuse us, because when the European came to power, what he did was change up chronology and geography, or the time-space coordinates, to disorientate us, so we don't know where we at. Here's an old map of America, showing old names, and here you have Tripoli, Morocco, Tunis, Turkey, Atlantis, Egypt, Patmos, the Globe Theater, which was tied in with Shakespeare's Globe Theater, Francis Bacon and all of them, Moab, the Moabites, Cairo, Illinois, because where that part of the Nile or the Mississippi comes, they call that whole region Little Egypt, and you have a place there right there called Cairo. Mecca, Yucatan, Lebanon, all these are place names that's still here to this day.
Wow, it's very powerful there.
Ooh, I know you lying. Ooh, I know you lying.
Let's check this out here.
How many of you Negroes saw this map and believed?
Okay, wait a minute. Let's see what
this dumb shit right here. This dumb ass, historically illiterate fuckery we got going on this map. Who was one of you Negroes step up and say who made it?
This guy clearly is on some other stuff. Like I'm not saying those names are authentic, but for you to dismiss that history, I think is wrong.
The identity of the Aborigines with the people of Tyrus and Israel, and the introduction of Christianity by the Apostle St. Thomas, by George Jones, events of what led after that, and how we decided to come over here to America. They would basically take the people out of that land, remove their name, remove their heritage, and basically implant different people into that land.
Okay, now the idea of implanting new people into a land and taking over their identity, that's happening right now. That is still happening literally right now. So this whole concept, it's not even crazy. We can watch what's happening in the Middle East, right? And the Palestinians and the Jews, right? We know that erasure and replacement is real. It's been happening all over the world.
This is the Woolworths building in New York, allegedly founded in 1913, which is a lie, because on the side of the buildings you can see the original king and queen, whose building it actually was, and whose palace it was. And this is a palace that once housed a lot of the royalty of the Empire of the Children of the Sun.
The Empire of the Sun.
And when you see the pictures of history throughout Amaruka Tamari, the empire that was once ruled by the children of the sun.
Memphis, Tennessee. I just talked about Memphis, Tennessee. So let's go back real quick. Right?
The empire.
Okay, this is what I want. This is why it was important. When we talked about Memphis and Egypt, this is similar. This is what the land looked like at that period of time. It was built on trade. It was built on commerce. It was built on culture, all coming off of that river. Rivers are obviously the source of life. If you're a human, and being in proximity to rivers is what allows culture to exist.
That was once ruled by the children of the sun. You see in the ancient photographs, before they changed Memphis, Tennessee, it looked like the empire of the children of the sun. And over the last 200 years, they've been rewriting history, changing things and taking credit for structures that they had no handiwork in building whatsoever. But this is the real history of Amaruka Tamara now known as America.
America.
This is the land of
And
the children of
Mukera.
the sun, and we are the rightful indigenous owners of this land that we are still owed to this day.
America.
If you could see in 4K the reality of the pictures of the past, you will see that these were our people, certainly. These were children of the sun, and the empires that stretched all over the firmament, all over the world, were part of the empire of the children of the sun. And these advanced technologically empirical structures were taken over by the invaders. This is the war.
I mean, that's what they were, essentially invaders, right? Man, you know what, bro? Hey, man, like, you're right. Like, when you're talking, first of all, so we're probably talking like Southeast Asia, and it's a lot of black skinned, dark skinned people there. I've been to Asia like 3 times, right? The last time probably like a year ago, maybe 18 months ago. And I stayed in Asia probably for, a few months. And I saw a lot of dark skin. Like, you don't see them on TV. You don't see them working at the airport, but there are a lot of people down there where I'm like, damn, bro, you as dark as me. This all makes sense. And I also mean that if you look for high concentrations of temple structures, you'll also find a lot of those in that area as well, Southeast Asia. So yeah, I think in Thailand, I think there's a lot of culture for black people in Thailand, and probably in the areas of Cambodia. There's a lot of temple structure. Go to those areas and look at their temple structures, and look at these temple structures here in the Americas, and remember who came here and established this stuff first. They're definitely there.
African Americans are from the tribe of Judah. Period. I'm not arguing with y'all. Go argue it. I'm kidding. African Americans are from the tribe of Judah. The tribe of Benjamin is Jamaicans in the West Indies. As we already discussed, the tribe of Levi are the Haitians, which is the priestly line. Puerto Ricans are from the tribe of Ephraim. The tribe of Meniset are the Cubans. Guatemalans and Panamanians are from the tribe of Zebulon. The tribe of Gad are the North American Indians. The tribe of Reuben are the people of Seminole Indians. I think I'm saying it wrong.
Seminole Indians?
The tribe of Asher are the Argentinians, the Brazilians, and I believe the Colombians. The tribe of Issachar are the Mexicans. The tribe of Naphtali, I can never say that, Naphtali, those are the Chileans, like people in Chile, and some of the Argentinians as well. Dominicans are the tribe of Simeon. And African Americans are from the tribe of Judah.
Yeah, I'm finna cook right now. Said I couldn't talk about Black American history without talking about the indigenous Americans in Mesoamerica? You right. How about an advanced civilization responsible for kingdoms, empires? You heard of the Mayans. Who were the melanated beings portrayed in these murals? And who depicted them as gods and king-like beings?
Very much true. All their depictions look like that. It's not hard to kind of see how that skin tones make. See, and this is where it turns into, why are people ashamed of their African heritage? We're not. We're simply not Africans. Like the African, I'm going to be really honest with you, man. Like, all my worship, all my real, love is in my bloodline. If I was ever seeking advice or wisdom or guidance from someone, that's who I would turn to, right? And where were my ancestors at? They're right here. Where's their blood at? It's right here. So I've never had the desire to go outside of them to seek comfort, to seek knowledge. And my grandparents, man, my family going away. And I've met my great-grandparents. I met my great-great-grandfather on my mom's side, right? I've met pretty far back. So I've met, literally put eyes and hands on 4 generations back of my own family. My grandmother obviously takes it further back than that. That's why I say she's like 7 generations confirmed who she knows. So it's not, so if I were able to talk to her grandmother about it, we'd probably go 9-10 generations back. But they were all saying the same thing about where we came from. So let's let this brother, he said he's about to cook.
maternal divinity, and culture that would inspire cultures to come. How do we know they all didn't vanish? How do we know they migrated and dispersed through other regions in the Americas? How do we know that these people traveled or traded? Exactly happened between the Indians and the Indigos. All we gotta do is look at the timeline. Mayan Empire, collection of city-states and king-like figures, thrived in Mesoamerica 250 to 900 AD. But archaeologists place humans in Trinidad as early as 6000 BC, and that these would have been the ancestors to the Cosimoroi people, named after the site where remains were first discovered. Ancestors to the Oistinoid people, who later evolved into the Taínos. And by 500 BC...
The Taínos, now you're hitting on names I'm familiar with. Now we can see in the Taínos, I believe, are the people who were in, I think it's like the Dominican Republic or Haiti. I think those were their islands, and, you know, the Africans who did come there mixed with those people. Now, they say those people are gone, but I don't know if that's necessarily true. Let's see, ocean. Yeah, the island hopped across the Caribbean. Yeah, to Hispaniola, right? To 250 BC. So yeah, the island of Hispaniola, that is where, right, Haiti and Dominican Republic are right now. Yeah, the government, man, like, look, this is a government that told you they went to the moon and ain't nobody went to the moon. Went to the moon one time, right? Do you know how hard it is to hit a moving object, right, on your first time, and you did it properly and you never try to do it again? That's the same government, man. So yeah, there's a lot to what they say about our government and
even made their way
how
into
they
Florida.
lie
If you
and how
wonder
they
what
pass
they
information.
look like, you could ask some of the indigenous people who are still living and celebrating their heritage today. What we do know is the same time that this place was thriving, Cahokia, which is right here in Illinois, was laid out almost identical to those cities in Mesoamerica. It's actually home to the largest prehistoric earthen mound in the Americas. You know who was in South America, how they migrated to Central America, and that
Yeah, the Mississippi River culture. That's powerful. Mississippi was the home to many Native American tribes. Like I said, I'm in Shreveport, I'm in Louisiana. We are at the tail end of the Mississippi River. This city exists because of that city, that foundation. I'm gonna let this brother finish this up though.
They were also in Florida. Complex societies that shared cultural practices and that they thrived until the European explorers arrived. We're
Brought
taught
disease.
to view these as separate peoples of separate places and separate timelines. But when you zoom out and look at the big picture, you see the story is truly connected. Yeah, I'm finna...
Very much so connected stories. So I've been kind of really pushing my family, like, look, we got to really start understanding our actual history. You know, what that means for me is the study, the research part of it, right? And listening to the ancient people and what they were actually saying. So I'm gonna take a dip. Hey, I definitely appreciate you for stopping in, my brother. Right? Cheer you, 1850. Like, definitely make sure you stop in. I'm gonna dig a little bit more into each of these topics. I'm gonna dig some into what you were talking about as well, and then I'll be able to come back and present that better to the audience. But always hit that like and subscribe if you enjoy it. We're gonna dig a lot deeper in this. And thank you guys, everyone who contributed. Thank you for the gifts. I definitely appreciate that. And I'm gonna check you guys out later. I may be back on and probably talking about something else. Yeah, let's see what time it is. Yeah, I'll probably be back on a little bit. I got another topic. But definitely peace to you, brother. We'll holler soon, all right? I'm going to follow you too, man.